Welcome to another episode of Preferred Walk-On. I'm your host, Max Chowder. Once again, this is not an interview. This is a different thing that we're doing right now. We're in the PFF studio. We got producer Ty, producer Eli back there too. It's a special occasion, and we're doing some review. We just put out the review episode, so go check it out if you haven't already. Now it's time for a Week 2 preview. Got some major, huge games coming down the stretch in Week 2. I cannot wait for. As good as Week 1 was, you look back at the schedule. There's only one game between ranked teams in Week 1, and that of course was the LSU Florida State game. That was massive, one of the biggest games of the year. Week 2 has got 2 ranked games as well. So another huge game that we'll get into at the last game that we're previewing here. So I'm excited. We're previewing 5 of the biggest games, in my opinion, this week. So I'm excited. So let's start off with the first game that I wanted to talk about. And, of course, subscribe to the channel, by the way. We're doing more content like this with actually a co-host next week. Very excited about that. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel. More interviews coming as well. First game I want to talk about, and this is a team that featured a player that we interviewed, Joe Alt, who is, in my opinion, the best offensive tackle in the country, although, Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rogers probably disagree with me on that one. With Olu Fashanu, who we also interviewed, by the way. Notre Dame playing at NC State. I'm excited for this game. This is a noon kick, by the way, Eastern time on ABC. The storyline for me in this game is that this is the first true test for Notre Dame. Everyone is high on the Fighting Irish right now. Everyone. They're 2-0. They looked really good in the 2 games. They've outscored their 2 opponents 98-6 in those 2 games. So they looked phenomenal. However, they played Navy in Ireland, and they played Tennessee State. Navy, according to PFF's power rankings that you can find at pff.com, Navy is outside the top 100 teams in the country, and Tennessee State is an FCS school. So not exactly the most difficult competition here for Notre Dame. They look great. I'm not taking that away from them. Not a difficult competition. Now, you go up against NC State, who PFF power rankings, not my rankings, but PFF's power rankings, have as a top 25 team in the country. And by the way, you're at NC State. It's a road game for Notre Dame as well. So excited for that. I'm excited to see Notre Dame really, truly tested. A top 10 team in the country now, Notre Dame, with a lot of people excited about them. Potential playoff team. You're getting tested for the first time in this NC State game. So I'm excited for that. Matchup to watch for me is Sam Hartman, who really, NC State has had his number throughout his whole career. And Sam Hartman has been phenomenal so far this season. He has a 91.2 passing grade, which is 5th among Power 5 quarterbacks so far this season. But really, Sam Hartman, of course, transferring to Notre Dame from Wake Forest, ACC school that plays NC State every year. Sam Hartman has faced the Wolfpack 3 times in his career. He's lost 2 of those matchups. And he's thrown as many touchdowns as he has interceptions. He throws 6 touchdowns and 6 interceptions in those 3 games against NC State. So they've really had his number so far. Now, of course, he's on a more talented team in Notre Dame. But we'll see, man. We'll see what the Wolfpack got in this game. And I'm excited for this one. My final score prediction for this game, I have Notre Dame winning this one 27-21. I don't think it'll be the explosive offense that we saw from Notre Dame against Navy and Tennessee State. But I do think that they'll be able to do enough to squeak by the Wolfpack. So 27-21, I have number 10 Notre Dame winning this game, but it is the first true test for the Fighting Irish, so I'm excited to watch that. Next game, another noon kick, this one on Fox Eastern Time. Nebraska at number 22 Colorado. Number 22 Colorado. You say that 6 months ago and people would think you're crazy. 1-11 Colorado. Now all of a sudden they're 1-0 and number 22 in the country. And by the way, they earned that number 22 ranking, man. They did. With what they did against TCU. Storyline to know in this game. Is Colorado legit? Are they legit? They had a 45-42 upset over TCU, like I mentioned before. They were 3 touchdown underdogs in that game. 21-point underdogs against TCU, and they beat them. Really, it took just one game for Deion Sanders to take the Buffaloes from one of the worst programs in college football to a ranked program. One game is all it took. Now, you face a Matt Rule coached Nebraska team. Matt Rule, as bad as he was with the Carolina Panthers, he's a great college coach. He's a great college coach. That's all there is to say. He's great at Temple. He was great at Baylor. again, disaster in the NFL, but I have faith in him to turn this program around. He faced a good Minnesota team in week 1, and Nebraska nearly won that game. They really, down the stretch, I think they fumbled down the stretch in the last couple minutes. Minnesota had a miraculous touchdown and a game-winning field goal at the end. So Nebraska really, I think, a 10-point lead, late 5 minutes or so left, and they blew it. That was still a good performance, I think, from Nebraska, and they should be excited for this. Now it's time for Colorado to prove it, against Nebraska. It was definitely worse than TCU, but still, it's time to see if it's true, if it's not a fluke or not. So my matchup to watch in this game is how will Nebraska handle Travis Hunter on both sides of the ball. If you watched our week 1 review, I know it was a longer episode. We probably spent half the episode talking about Travis Hunter because he had one of the best performances we've ever seen. Again, 100-degree weather, 144 snaps. He was dominant at both corner with 3 forced incompletions and interception. He had 11 catches for 119 yards. Just an unreal performance. Now, it's about how Nebraska can handle him. And that interception that Travis Hunter had was in the red zone. Jeff Sims, the Nebraska quarterback, is no stranger to red zone interceptions. In fact, he had one against Minnesota on the 6-yard line. One of his 3 interceptions, by the way, one of his 3 on the day. 2 of them caught by Tyler Nubin, who is a stock exchange darling. They love Tyler Nubin. I think he's a great player as well. He had 2 interceptions on the day. Travis Hunter, star player for Colorado. Maybe he could have a big day as well. But Jeff Sims, man, 29.7 passing grade against the Golden Gophers. Really, if I'm Matt Rule, I'm going to Jeff, and I'm saying, dude, do not look at number 12. Don't look at him. It doesn't matter. If you think he's open, don't look at him because he is that good. He's that good. So I'm excited to see what Colorado does with Travis Hunter in this game, whether or not he plays that many snaps. And, on the offensive side of the ball, Nebraska did a good job with Minnesota's passing game. Ethan Kalik-Manis, the new quarterback after Tanner Morgan left, only 4.5 yards per attempt in that game. So they're going to have their hands full, though. It's a different beast, man. It's a different beast, this Colorado passing attack, which, again, is insane to say after just one game compared to what they were a year ago. But Shedeur Sanders, he had 510 yards against the Horned Frogs. It's a different animal. So, I'm excited to see Travis Hunter. Number 12 is going to be the player to watch on both sides of the ball. If he continues these kinds of performances, he will be holding up the stiff arm trophy, the Heisman Trophy, at the end of the season because he is special. Overall prediction, I have Colorado winning this game. I think it's a 3-point spread right now. I think they're going to pull away from Nebraska. I think it's 35-24. Deion Sanders, as Colorado head coach, starts off 2-0. By the way, 2-0. He's already passed the team's win total from last season if he wins this game in the second week of the season. Unreal turnaround for Deion Sanders if they can do this. So 35-24 is my final. I think Colorado's going to 2-0 and climbing even higher in the rankings. Next game, one of the 2 ranked games that we got on this docket here today, or this weekend, is number 20 Ole Miss at number 24 Tulane, which is 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2. I think this game should be higher on ESPN at least, if not ABC. But there is a game on ABC at 3:30 that we're going to talk about pretty soon. But for me, the storyline I'm watching this game is 2 explosive offenses square off. Both quarterbacks in this game, Jackson Dart for Ole Miss, Michael Pratt for Tulane, they were fantastic in their season debuts. Dart earned a 93.1 grade in the Rebels' 73-7 win over Mercer, which was 3rd among FBS single cards. He also was phenomenal last season, too. I know it's Mercer, FCS school. We're not really too impressed by that. But still, he was great last year, too. So I am a believer in Jackson Dart. Meanwhile, Michael Pratt, man, who I love. I think he's a top at least 15 quarterback in the country. Michael Pratt had a 98 passing grade in Tulane's 37-17 win over South Alabama. 98. South Alabama, by the way, no slouch. That's a pretty good team. He had a 98 passing grade. Not only, of course, that leads all quarterbacks in the country. That's the second highest single game mark in the PFF college era. The only one higher than him was Jalen Hurts, who had a 98.6 grade against West Virginia in 2019. Of course, Jalen Hurts now one of the best quarterbacks in the world right now. Yeah, man. Michael Pratt was phenomenal. I think he attempted 15 passes, if I remember. 14 of them he completed. He had 4 big-time throws, I think, on just 15 attempts. 4 big-time throws. The only incompletion he had was dropped. So basically, he played a perfect game, basically, against South Alabama. So between those two quarterbacks, this should be potential for fireworks, man. This could be an explosive game. The matchup to watch, though, for me, is will Tulane be able to stop Quinshon Judkins, who, in my opinion, the Ole Miss running back, is the second best running back in college football behind Michigan's Blake Corum. Judkins, it was a quiet season debut, but then again, why risk an injury to your best player against Mercer that you're beating by 66 points? Why risk an injury to your best player? So it was a quiet debut. He still had 2 touchdown runs, by the way, but 13 carries, 60 yards, 2 touchdowns, 74.3 grade. He was fine. They didn't need to use him. That was really the big takeaway. It wasn't he didn't play well. He played actually pretty good. They just needed to use him. This game, they're going to use him. They're going to use Quinshon Judkins in this game. I think he should be featured a lot more heavily. By the way, only a true sophomore, by the way. This guy is a superstar. He was a true freshman last year and was one of the best running backs in the country last year. Only a 3-star recruit coming out of high school, too. This wasn't like Bijan Robinson, who, 5-star coming out of high school becomes a superstar, not surprising. Quinshon was surprising. So I think he's the number 2 running back in the country. Wasn't used in week 1. That's going to change in week 2. Tulane, South Alabama, only had 2.3 yards per attempt in that game. But Judkins, like I said with Travis Hunter, Judkins is a different animal, man. Different beast. And the Jaguars, the Green Wave are going to have their hands full with Judkins. And, Judkins is not like anyone the South Alabama Jaguars had. So I got Ole Miss winning this game 34-28. I think it will be a close game, but I think the Rebels will pull out because I think Quinshon Judkins and Jackson Dart, Trey Harris, who had 3 touchdown catches, I think, in the first 3 minutes of that Mercer game. And I tweeted out that he's on pace for 60 touchdowns in just the one game. But obviously he stopped there. But that Ole Miss passing attack, Lane Kiffin, of course, coaching them. That offense is electric, and I think it'll be a little too much for Tulane to handle. Even though I really like the Green Wave this year, and they have a shot to be the New Year's 6 bowl team out of the group of 5, even though I'm picking UTSA. But 34-28, I got Ole Miss winning that game. Next game I want to talk about is the game that is on ABC at 3:30. Number 23, Texas A&M at Miami. The storyline to know in this game is that both programs need this game. They need this game. Both programs need to win this game. Last year, there was high expectations for both Texas A&M and Miami, and both programs were extremely disappointing. Extremely disappointing. Texas A&M, in fact, started the year in the preseason poll. They were number 6 in the country. Number 6. There are people calling this team a playoff contender, national championship contender. They had the greatest recruiting class in history coming in. They went 5-7. It was terrible. They crashed and burned. It was 5-7. They were bad. Miami reached as high as number 13 in the ranking, not number 6 like Texas A&M, but still top 15 team in the country. Miami was. Tyler Van Dyke was talked about as a potential first-round quarterback. He crashed and burned. The Hurricanes crashed and burned, and like the Aggies, they finished 5-7. So these are two programs who Jimbo Fisher, I'm not saying he's on the hot seat because he has a massive contract and that buyout is still not as big as it used to be, but it's still massive. Mario Cristobal, it was his first year last year, so they're going to give him more time. But this is a game that they need to win. Both programs need to win this game because if not, the fan bases are going to grow a little restless, I would say. So, important game. It's an important game to prove that last year was a fluke and that this program is heading in the right direction. So, this is going to be a big game for both teams because both teams kind of need this one to get back on track right now. The matchup to watch, though, for me is this Texas A&M passing game against Miami's pass defense. Connor Weigman, the Texas A&M quarterback, I am super excited about, by the way. He was a 5-star recruit in that illustrious Texas A&M recruiting class, quite literally the greatest recruiting class in history, that 2022 class. They had 8 5-stars. 8 5-stars. 8 of the top 25 players in the country went to Texas A&M. That is absurd. So, greatest recruiting class ever. It takes some time to develop. A lot of those 5-stars actually transferred out after last year. Connor Weigman didn't. He's the quarterback now. He was one of the top quarterbacks coming out of high school. And he looked good, I think, as a freshman. It was up and down. He had some great games and some not-so-great games, but he's a true freshman. What do you expect from a true freshman quarterback in the SEC? Connor Weigman last week against New Mexico, who are one of the worst teams in the country. But still, Connor Weigman had a 91.9 grade, 5 touchdown passes in a 52-10 victory. And then also, another one of those 5-star recruits in that class was Evan Stewart, the sophomore, who was a top 10 recruit coming out in 2022, the number 2 receiver in that class as well. The Aggies have a top 10 receiving core in the country, in my opinion. It's headlined by Evan Stewart. He had 115 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Lobos. Also, helping out Weigman, besides that, a great receiving core, is his offensive line, which I think is a top 10 offensive line in the country too. So this passing game with Bobby Petrino now as the offensive coordinator, it should be better. It should be better. And I think Weigman is a big reason for that. He looks like it's early, but he looks like he could be one of the top quarterbacks in the 2025 draft. Him and Drew Aller, I would probably say, is number 1 right now. But Weigman's not too far behind, I would say. Miami's defense, though, is no slouch. They have legitimate players on this Miami defense. The Hurricanes have the best safety duo in the country in Cameron Kitchens, who I would probably argue is the best safety in the country. First-round prospect for PFF as well. And James Williams, massive safety, 6'4", looks like Kyle Hamilton a little bit. Really good safety. So best safety duo in the country. I think James Williams is top 5 safety in the country too. So they have 2 top 5 safeties in college football. I think Miami, though, they also have a top 10 defensive line. Leonard Taylor III headlines that. He's a projected top 15 pick. Go check out Trevor Sikkema's mock draft. He put Leonard Taylor in the top 15. And it could give them fits. It could give them fits. They have the defensive line that can Akeem Mesidor, also the edge defender there. He's a really good edge defender. They could give Texas A&M fits. The defensive line could probably create some pressure on Weigman. The secondary, I don't think the Miami corners are great, but they're okay. But the safeties are fantastic. So it could create them, some mismatches on both sides. So I'm excited for this. This should be a great game. I'm really excited for this game. Like I said, this is a game that is super important for both programs. I have A&M winning this game, 27-24. Going to be one of the best games of the weekend, I think. I think a few clutch plays, though, from Connor Weigman. And A&M defense, we haven't talked about it too much. I think A&M's got some talent on that defense, too. They'll be able to slow down Tyler Van Dyke enough. So I think A&M's going to win this one close. Last game we're talking about here is by far the biggest game of this weekend. Number 11 Texas at number 3 Alabama. 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time kick on ESPN. Storyline to know in this game is the Jalen Milroe improvement. Is it real? Is it real? Now, I'm not trying to bash the kid, but when Jalen Milroe was put in for Bryce Young, when Young went down with the shoulder injury, and also when Jalen in some blowouts too, he was not good. Frankly, not good. He actually, of all FBS quarterbacks with at least 75 dropbacks, Jalen Milroe had the worst passing grade of all quarterbacks in the country with at least 75 dropbacks, 30.3 passing grade, and 10.3% turnover-worthy play rate. Again, worst in the country in that group. So he was really not good. Really, he's a great runner, and you saw it last week against Middle Tennessee. Great runner, but as a passer, just wasn't there. It wasn't there. So that's why when he was named the starter, I was a little concerned. But then again, you have Tyler Buckner, the Notre Dame transfer, who didn't look good either. Ty Simpson, 5-star recruit in the 2022 class, but again, he has 5 dropbacks to his name. What do we know about him? So Jalen Milroe is probably the safest option, I guess. But yeah, I was concerned. Now, I will say, to his credit, he looked phenomenal in week 1. Really good. 92.3 grade against Middle Tennessee, which was 5th among FBS quarterbacks. Caveat, though, it's Middle Tennessee. So I'm still in a wait and see. I'm very encouraged by that performance. I'm very encouraged by that performance from Jalen Milroe. He looked a lot better as a passer. I think his passing grade is around 85. A lot better as a passer, but it's a wait and see for me. It's still a wait and see. I'm not crowning this guy, next great Alabama quarterback at all, but it's a wait and see. And also, this is a game for him. Now this is the time for me and for everyone else to be proven wrong, because he's going against a good Texas defense. It got some dudes on that defensive line, and also their secondary, in my opinion, is a top 5 secondary in the country. They have a really, really good secondary. No weaknesses, I think, in that secondary. And Alabama's receiving core is good, but it's not like Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle good, or John Mechie or anything like that. Is good, but it's not that good, So Jalen Monroe is going to be. This is a big game for him. It's a big game to prove that this improvement is real, but it's huge. So that is what I'm really looking at. The other thing on the other side of the ball, what I think is going to be the most electric part of this game, the matchup to watch in this game, is can Quinn Ewers, the Texas quarterback, can he recapture the magic that he had last year? If you remember last year when Texas played Alabama in Austin, in Texas, they had them on the ropes, man. They had Alabama on the ropes. And it took some heroics from Bryce Young for Alabama to escape with a game-winning field goal with no time left. 20-19 was the final score in that game. Ewers, he was a surgeon in the first quarter. He had a 90.2 grade in the first quarter with 3 big-time throws on just 14 attempts in the first quarter. He had 3 big-time throws in the first quarter. That means he's on pace for 12 big-time throws in the game. Now, of course, he's probably going to keep up at that pace, but that's what he was on pace for. Against a great Alabama defense, by the way. 3 big-time throws in that first quarter. Late in that opening quarter, though, if you remember, Dallas Turner, who could be a first-round pick in the draft, the edge defender, hit him hard after he threw a ball, landed on his non-throwing shoulder, suffered an SC sprain to his non-throwing shoulder, knocked him out of the game, knocked him out for a few weeks, and really did not look the same the rest of the season. But if Ewers doesn't go down, they only lost by 1 point with Hudson Card playing most of the game. If Ewers doesn't go down, it stands to reason Texas is winning that game if Ewers does not go down. Now, Ewers is healthy, and he really has a chance to finish the job this time around. You got the number 2 receiving core in the country, in my opinion. This receiving core is ridiculous. They have Xavier Worthy, the speedster, who one of the best receivers in the country, top 5 receiver, in my opinion. A.D. Mitchell, Georgia transfer, who Trevor Sikkema has, I think, as a first-round prospect on his big board. 6'4" guy, huge, and he's really good. Jatavion Sanders, number 2 tight end in maybe college football. I'd probably argue Brevin Spanford, but maybe college football, but definitely the 2024 draft. Jatavion Sanders behind Brock Bowers. He could be a first-round pick at tight end, too, which we rarely see 2 tight ends go in the first round. Jatavion Sanders has the talent to do it. They have Jordan Whittington coming back as well. He was the number 2 receiver for the last couple of years. They have a ton of other guys coming back as well. Isaiah Nair, the Wyoming transfer who missed all of last season, he was phenomenal at Wyoming the year before, though. So they have some really good players in that receiving core. Jonte Cook, a freshman, too, 5-star freshman. So that receiving core, I think, behind Ohio State, who has Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming, that's easily the best receiving core in the country. But after that, I think I would argue Texas and Washington are right behind there. So, and also the offensive line is phenomenal too. All 5 starters back. Kelvin Banks will be one of the top offensive tackles in the country next year. He already is right now, but he'll be 1 or 2 next year with Will Campbell, the true sophomore. So top 10 offensive line. But Alabama has a great defense. It's Nick Saban. He's one of the greatest defensive coaches in football history, not just college football history, football history. Him and Bill Belichick are probably up there. But the issue with Alabama's defense right now, they could be without 2 starters in their secondary because both safety Jalen Key, the transfer from Louisiana, who was really, really good against Middle Tennessee, he suffered an injury. Malachi Moore, the slot corner, he suffered an injury. Nick Saban doesn't know whether or not either of them will be able to go. So that's 2 starters in your secondary going up against an electric passing offense at Texas. It could spell trouble for the Crimson Tide. I'll say that if Quinn Ewers can recapture the magic, he's got that receiving core. He's got a decent offensive line that should be able to hold up enough against Dallas Turner again, who's back. It could spell trouble for Alabama. And with that Texas secondary maybe giving trouble to Jalen Monroe, they're the underdogs by a touchdown, but I got Texas winning this game. I think they're going to finish the job this time around. I think the Longhorns are winning this game 27-24. Huge upset in Tuscaloosa. Listen, I like Alabama. I like Jalen Moreau. I loved what he showed last week, but I think this Texas team is going to finish the job this time around with a healthy Quinn Ewers, with that receiving core, with a beat-up Alabama secondary, with a great Texas secondary, and a, wait-and-see quarterback at Alabama right now. I think Texas is winning this game. And I know they're a touchdown underdog, so maybe, if you're a betting man, lay some money on Texas money line. But I think Texas is winning this game, man. I think it's going to be an unbelievable game like it was last year. And I think Texas will get the revenge. And Steve Sarkisian, the Texas head coach, used to be Nick Saban's offensive coordinator, joins the rare club, the exclusive club of former Nick Saban assistants that beat Nick Saban. Kirby Smart's in that club as well. I think Jimbo Fisher is in that club. There's a lot of, there's not a lot of people in that club. And Steve Sarkisian, I think, will join that club after this game. So should be an awesome weekend of college football. I am so excited about it. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at MaxChadwickCFB. And make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. We got more content like this, more interviews, of course, with top players and media personalities and coaches, but more content like this too, where we just get to talk ball, review the previous week, talk about the upcoming week. I am so pumped about this. So major thanks to the producers, of course, Tyler and Eli back there, have been making me look good up here. But man, I can't wait for this weekend. So subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time.